Hey guys, Dale from Schwartz Performance here for another month of shop updates. It's August 2020. We've got a lot to report. This past weekend, Jeff ran his Scion FRS up at the Optima event at Road America and ended up taking second place in the GTC class. So that was really cool. He ended up getting the invite to Las Vegas as well. Now we're not really sure if the Optima Las Vegas is going to be happening yet, or when or where it will happen, but he did get the invite to there, so that's really awesome. And Mark Greeneisen ended up going to the Road America as well with our 65 Tempest and ran the SCCA event. It was an autocross event at their go-kart track, and he took home the win for the Cam T class, which was also really awesome. This upcoming week, we're heading to the UMI King of the Mountain event. I'm going to be racing the Tempest there, and hopefully we can take home another win. In other news, we do have 3 magazines that were featured in this month. The September issue of Classic Truck Performance magazine shows our customer Mark's 49 Ford F3 pickup truck in it. We've got our friend Jason Scudellari with his 63 Chevy 2 Nova that's Schwartz equipped on the cover of Hot Rod. And in the Hemmings Muscle Machines magazine, we've got Jeff's 72 AMX featured in it with photos by the man behind the camera. So check those out when you get a chance. Let's check out what we got going on in the shop. Doug's been continuing to make a lot of progress on Augie's 78 Mercedes here. The chassis is almost completed with fabrication. We've got all the suspension mounts and everything on. Motor mounts are in. We mocked up that LT4 and 6-speed that we showed last month. And the rear end just came in, so we're gonna mock all that up and get all the brackets fabricated for that. And then we're gonna be starting on a lot of sheet metal work to get some of the floor pan and a lot of the unibody areas that we cut out patched back up, so this chassis will be a clean install. And then from there, we're gonna be starting the rest of the build. We've got here is a 78 Firebird chassis. Now these chassis that we make for the 2nd gen F bodies are full frame and they bolt into the factory unibody structure, so you don't have to cut any of the rear rails and things out. This guy ended up going with our chassis because he's running a higher horsepower LS7 and he's going to be doing some performance driving with it and stuff. So we equipped it with the Bear brakes, the 14-inch Pro Plus, and the Mosier full floating 9-inch, and that alone helps a lot with trackability. The 14-inch 6-piston Bears are finished in a canary yellow, which actually goes pretty well with this custom root beer color from Prismatic. Now this is a unique color combo that we've never done before, and the customer ended up choosing it, but I think it turned out pretty nice. Well, Max's 47 Hudson has been out of the body shop getting body worked and painted. We do have the chassis back here from Powder Coat, so we just got finished with the assembly of it, and it's got bare 14-inch brakes on it, some Forge Line wheels, Ford 9-inch out back, so this thing's almost ready to go back to the body shop. We'll get final fitted for all the gaps and everything, and then once it's all painted up, I'll come back here for final assembly. Been making quite a bit of progress on Steve's 83 Olds Cutlass here. We've got the chassis mounted back on the body. Now we bedlined the underside of the car and the mini-tubbed rear wheel wells, and we smoothed out the firewall and painted it satin black. So now that we got the chassis on here, engine and trans in, we also mounted these US Mag Sabre wheels. Now these wheels accept the factory hubcap, and they were painted just like the factory ones, but they're 19 by 9 front and 19 by 12 rear with some 345s on the back. So with our chassis, that's one of the big advantages on the G bodies, that you can fit a really wide tire because our rails are narrowed. We've got a Olds motor mounted in here, backed by the TKO 600 5-speed. We've got a Holley Sniper on top of the intake here. Customer originally had a carburetor. We talked him into some fuel injection, and I got the air cleaner on there, and we didn't have to cut a hole in the hood. So that was a really awesome discovery last week when we didn't have to put a gaping hole in there. So we had to cut some of the structure out to fit it, but needless to say, we got that done. Next, we'll be doing plumbing, wiring, and exhaust fab. Been making some more progress on Henry's 74 Chevy Nova here. We've got the earlier style front bumper installed to the later style grille and everything. A few custom pieces in here that we had to make in the pre-assembly process. to be able to do that. The factory 73 and 4 bumpers are really big and ugly, so we really thought that this would bring out a lot of the front end and focus a little bit more on the grille and headlights rather than the ugly front bumper. We do have some truck light LED headlights installed here as well. This car now runs and drives. We haven't actually driven it very far because it doesn't have seats in it yet, but it does go into drive and reverse, and it starts up finally. So we got the ECU tuned just for preliminary starting purposes, and then once it gets a little bit more together with the interior and stuff, it'll go up to get dyno tuned and adjusted there. We did install a ride controller unit in this thing. So what that is it's a device that you can wire in to a lot of different circuits, whichever ones you want, and control them from an app. So this customer is using an Android device, and he can literally pull up the app on his phone, connect to it via Bluetooth, put his windows up and down, start it, you know, even from outside of the car. So it's a pretty neat system that we'll show some video on once we get a little more dialed in. So on most G-bodies, when you go to a larger wheel, you need to raise the car. Now in our case, with our G-Machine chassis, we lower the car. So when you get a combination of bigger wheels and lowering the car, you got to do some modifications. So last month I had mentioned that we were going to be doing some custom inner fender tubs. Well, here they are. So we started them. We actually used, believe it or not, a trailer fender from a trailer as the initial design for the curvature, which fit the Bond Speed wheel really well. So these are a 20 by 9 up front and a 22 by 12 in the back. So in order to get proper turning radius and everything, we really needed to build something custom. So we did that. There's still going to be some areas on the inside here that we need to dive down to our chassis, but we had to do a little bit of fabrication in here to mount these tubs to. So it's all bolted in. Those will be body worked and painted the body color, which will be black when it's all done. And in addition to that, we've got the bare master cylinder mounted to the Firewall. It's going with a full manual setup, so we're not going to have a power boost or anything anymore. It's going to be getting 14-inch bare 6S calipers and brakes, so it doesn't really need a power brake to stop this thing with that larger brake. So once we're wrapped up doing the engine bay fabrication stuff, we're going to move to the interior where we got to fit the SRT8 Charger seats. Those things are monstrous, so we got to do a little bit of cutting to the floor pans to be able to even fit them. But it's the customer's request. He fits in them very well, and they'll fit the overall theme of the car too. We've also got the gauge bezel modified to fit the factory Hellcat Charger gauge cluster inside of it. So we're still working on that part, but overall it's been coming along really well. Still been doing quite a bit of metal fabrication on the 54 Studebaker project here. Ken just wrapped up these custom inner fender panels that close off the engine bay really nicely. Added a bead roll in there for strength and to match our chassis rail. On the Firewall side, we're pretty much all wrapped up with that now. We did make a new brake pedal assembly, so now that that's done, we have a Wilwood master cylinder mocked up here. We'll get manual brakes just as you see here. On the interior side, we just fabricated a set of seat pedestals that'll be mounting the Scat Rally seats that are going to be going in this build. Next on the list, after some of the other fabrication is done, is actually the exhaust fabrication. So since I've been talking about inner fenders so much, we've got another set of inner fenders that Jim just fabricated for the 67 Mustang project. So we got the shock towers cut out last month, and ended up cutting out the majority of the rest of the inner fenders up here to smooth it all out. So these will get painted and be nice and smooth once they're all body worked and everything. We've also got the Firewall smoothed out, so there's a big heater core area here and a couple of hoses that come through. They don't really work with the Coyote engine, so we had to smooth that out. Additionally, up top here where the factory shock tower braces go to the Firewall, we like to put a 1/4-inch plate across here that's fully welded in, and then we can make some tabs off of here that integrate with the top of our upper chassis tube there. So it definitely helps reduce flex on the front end. So we're just continuing a lot of fabrication on this thing, and that's really about it until we get the chassis fabricated and installed. Well guys, that's it for this month's shop update. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done it, please go to our website and check out our new shirt designs. They are in and on our website, available for purchase now. We've also got some new hats that are coming in the pipeline here in the next few weeks, so make sure to check those out as well. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we will see you next month.